Well, Diablo 4 was announced all the way back in 2019 at BlizzCon. It's been in development for some time, but it's still a nice surprise to see that fantastic cinematic trailer. We had a few details about returning classes, and then that was it for quite a while. It wasn't until BlizzCon 2021 when we got our next update. We were hoping that it might release in 2022, however, it's more than likely that COVID scuppered that plan, as it did with many other plans across the games industry in the last couple of years. Well, players did manage to get their hands on an early build of Diablo 4 in June 2022, when Blizzard had a closed beta. I didn't manage to get to play that time, but hopefully as we move forward towards the release date in June 2023, I'll get into a closed beta or an open beta and we'll be able to report back to you on the gameplay feel. Well, we did get another look at Diablo 4 at the Game Awards in the back half of 2022, with Blizzard on typically great form with their cinematic trailer. Diablo 4 is returning to its dark roots. We had impalement, and at times it was hard to distinguish between the angels and the demons. So we've got a number of classes coming to Diablo 4, including the Druid, the Barbarian, Sorceress, Rogue, and the Necromancer. I want to take a few moments now to go through each of them. So Druids were one of the first announced classes for Diablo 4. They've got powers related to the earth and wind, and can shapeshift into werebears and werewolf forms. And a big change from the previous games, Druids won't use a skill to transform into a form. Instead, they use a skill that requires a particular form. So they shapeshift into a new form briefly and then back out again. And Druids also have summons with their ability to call on wolves and ravens. Well, next up we've got Barbarians. So they are the go-to class if you want strength and weapons. Barbarians have access to the Arsenal system, which allows them to have 4 different weapons to swap between. And we can assign different skills to use specific weapons, so you can really customize the Barbarian skill, and also the loadouts as well. Well, Sorceress is our spellcaster class. They can throw lightning, ice, and fire from a distance. Unlike previous iterations of Diablo's Wizard class, the Sorceress are focused on more elemental magic. The Sorceress has access to the enchantment system, which allows them to have the 6 regular skill slots, but also 3 additional enchantment slots, which translate to passive skills. Then we got Rogue. This is a returning class from the original Diablo game. Rogues are specialists with the bow, but they can also get in up close with daggers and knives. So rogues have the ability to have combo points, which your abilities build up, related to attack combinations, meaning you can charge up abilities through multiple hits. They also have a specialization called the Shadow Realm, where they can become immune and drag enemies into another dimension. Finally, we've got the Necromancer. This is the 5th and the final class of Diablo 4. They can control skeletons and have bone and blood magic at their disposal. They've got weapons too, including a massive scythe. Necromancers can also utilize corpses as a resource. They can even trap enemies in something called a bone prison, which allows you to control enemies on the battlefield. Well, as well as different classes, we're going to be able to customize our characters through hundreds of unique armor pieces, as well as change faces and body attributes. This allows you to customize your class so you won't be the same as another character in Diablo 4. We also have a dye system allowing us to change the colour of clothes. Facial features will also be editable, which is a new one for the Diablo series. Well, here's a short snippet of what Blizzard had to say about it during BlizzCon 2021. So you're going to be able to change your face of the character, the hairstyle, the facial hair, and add jewellery, makeup and body markings such as tattoos and body paint. You're going to be able to change the colour values of your character's skin, eyes, hair, facial hair, and body markings. Some elements will be class specific to support the class's unique backgrounds, but many will be shared between classes, allowing for more possibilities to mix and match. Well, in June 2022, we got a much better look at Diablo 4 gameplay. There's a big open world plus public events that will take place where you battle against hordes of demons alongside other players that are in the same instance as you. Well, late in 2022, Diablo 4's game director Joe Shelley and general manager Rod Ferguson sat down with IGN for an interview, giving us some more juicy details related to the subclass uniqueness. We started with a couple of classes, and we had some really cool ideas for class mechanics that would be specific to those classes. It proved to be very compelling, not just in terms of the gameplay of the class, but also if you're playing as a barbarian, maybe you're grouped up with a sorceress, and the sorceress is using a class mechanic. You look at that and go, well, that's a lot of interesting gameplay there that I can check out. we really wanted the classes to shine in their own unique ways. The Necromancer is a core part of Diablo. It's a really cool summoner class. You can get this really cool fancy of being a sort of general of the dead. But there's also a lot of different ways that people play Necromancers. You've got people who enjoy playing the Necromancer in Diablo 2, where they're kind of overseeing the battlefield and their minions doing all the combat. And you've got the more action-packed Necromancer of Diablo 3, where you're really sort of commanding minions more directly. And you've got players as well who want to play this sort of dark caster fantasy, but aren't necessarily attached to the army aspect of it. Well, they also gave some details about skill trees, saying we're going to be able to be hyper-specific with how we respec characters. It will cost resources, but we're going to be able to respec point by point. This is a departure from Diablo 3, which was much more tied to your gear. Well, there's going to be a point in time where I'm going to make up a number, say level 50, and you go like, oh, I'd like to be a different barbarian, but it's too expensive to undo everything that I've done. And it's actually better for me to roll another barbarian and start a new one and go fresh. And we wanted that notion that with every level that you progress down a character, you're kind of becoming more and more attached to it. You're not just going to go, okay, I'm level 65, time to change my clothes and become a different barbarian. Well, items are getting a major overhaul, which is much more focus on item strengthening class identities and allowing players to customize deeper and giving us more depth. This is comparable to something between Diablo 2 and Diablo 3. Specific changes include weapon speed and other stats that you'll find on all items, and item qualities have also been looked at, with Blizzard wanting players to have a look at other weapons, not just legendary weapons. An exciting element of Diablo 4 is the open world. We've got 5 regions to explore, and they could be done in any order. And Blizzard say each region is fraught with dangers of their own kind. And this was lead environment artist Matt McDade back in 2022. Many routes and hidden corners to uncover. How you choose to make your way through the vast open world is up to you. The art and the design team have constructed a contiguous world that you can roam from coast to coast or high up in the glacial ridges. For the environment art team, we want to ensure that each handcrafted location is distinct and immersive. Well, the game is going to ship with cross-play multiplayer, so players from PlayStation, Xbox and PC, they're all going to be able to play with each other. This is an always online game, and being able to play with everyone on all platforms is really, really going to make the difference. So dungeons are going to be instants for solo and parties of players, and then in the overworld you're going to see other players, world events that are going to bring players together, and you'll be able to get mounts to ride across large distances. Difficulty can be set when you enter a dungeon, although when you're above ground, the difficulty is going to scale to your level. I think there's loads to be excited about when it comes to Diablo 4. I definitely recommend checking out some video previews and seeing the gameplay, and then, when you can get your hands on the game, I would recommend you do it as soon as possible. And if we get details of an open beta, I'll definitely be the first to let you know. Well, that is it for now for Diablo 4 and a roundup of everything that we know so far. I am really, really looking forward to this game, and it's coming out in June 2023. Thank you so much for watching or listening. Hit that subscribe button down below and subscribe to This Week in Video Games. Or you can check me out on Twitter at TWIVG Podcast. If you enjoyed this video, found it useful, liking and sharing the video would really help me out. Otherwise, check out the other videos on the channel. Well, thanks again, and I'll see you soon.